Welcome, everyone, to this roundtable today on cultivating NASA's future workforce. I am Joy Murphy, and I am the HR Director for the California Human Resources Office, which services Ames Research Center in Northern California and Armstrong Flight Research Center in Southern California. I'm representing Jane Data today, who is our Chief Human Capital Officer. A little background on me: I started as a co-op, now is the Federal Pathways Program, about 25 years ago in the agency. And progressively over the years, I've had many opportunities to develop and grow, work on various human capital programs, and now I am the Human Resources Director over in California. It's with great pleasure to be here and moderate today's session with the panelists to share their thoughts and experiences on NASA employees and leaders in an ever-changing workplace, paving the way to the new era of American innovation. The most critical resource we have here in NASA are our people. Cultivating an esteemed workforce of highly qualified individuals and bringing them together as teams requires investment. Investing in our people and affording them opportunities to develop and grow in the agency are paramount. From internships and student programs in the Office of STEM Engagement and the Office of the Human Capital Officer, to projects such as the University Innovation Project within the Aeronautics Research Mission Directorate. All of these provide rich experiences for the next generation of NASA professionals. For the current workforce, the agency fosters a growth culture with emphasis on continual learning and development in technical, academic, and leadership areas, educating and increasing awareness on the benefits of diversity and inclusion of our teams, and seeking employee feedback to hear their voices and understand what motivates them in the workplace and in their careers. Cultivating talent requires full support for the people of NASA to stay engaged, motivated, and empowered. Whether you are in a technical or scientific organization, business, finance, communications, or IT, we are here to pioneer the future of space exploration, scientific discovery, and aeronautics research. This is what drives us. It is our passion and the common purpose that connects us all within NASA. And now I'd like to introduce our panelists for today's roundtable. David Berger is the NASA STEM Engagement Embed for Aeronautics. He works on collaborations for research opportunities and learning experiences between NASA's Aeronautics Research Mission Directorate, NASA's Office of STEM Engagement, and academia. Prior to his current role, David was the NASA MUROP Institutional Research Opportunity MURO Activity Manager and Armstrong University Affairs Officer. He managed grants to build centers of excellence in NASA research at minority-serving institutions. David has a background in aeronautical and astronautical engineering and has worked as a test lead, test conductor, flight test engineer, and principal investigator on aerodynamics and air breathing propulsion research projects at NASA's Armstrong Research Center since first working there. David started at NASA 21 years ago as a student and has mentored over 50 interns throughout his career. Our next panelist, Bernice Cervantes, is a new hire in the Research Aerodynamics and Propulsion branch at NASA Armstrong, working fluid mechanics. Currently, she is finishing up her accelerated training program, where she was tasked with helping to solve problems in projects supporting revolutionary vertical lift technology, directly and X-59 indirectly. Bernice converted from the Pathways program, where she developed aircraft performance prediction scripts for X-57 and was previously an intern working on the development of a Prandtl-inspired propeller. Sorry, Bernice. First generation American and college student, she is a recent graduate from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo with a degree in aerospace engineering and transferred there from Cosumnes River College in Sacramento. Kaushik Data is the University Innovation Project Manager for NASA Aeronautics and manages the University Leadership Initiative, and also works with the University Students Research Challenge. Previously, Kaushik was the manager of the LEARN project, and prior to that, he was acting deputy director for and helped establish NASA Aeronautics Research Institute, or NARI. While at NASA Ames Research Center, Kaushik has worked on multiple NASA projects: Lunar Atmosphere and Dust Environment Explorer, LADEE, Orion 80 AS Test, Lunar Crater Observation, and Sensing Satellite LCROSS. Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy, SOFIA, Integrated Vehicle Health Management, IVHM, for the Space Launch Initiative, and Advanced Air Transportation Technologies. He has extensive experience in simulation, modeling, and safety analysis of air traffic systems, science payloads, and space propulsion systems. Kaushik received his PhD in operations research from UC Berkeley, BTech in mechanical engineering from IIT Madras. So for today's roundtable, I have a set of questions for the panel, and then we'll jump over to the Conference IO tool questions from the audience. Now, let's move into the panel discussion with Dave, Bernice, and Kaushik to reflect on how we are cultivating NASA's future workforce. I'll ask a question and ask that each panelist respond. The first question, and we'll start with Bernice. What are research experiences that students get that will draw them to NASA?
Good morning. Thank you, Joy. Well, first off, I think NASA does a pretty good job on its own attracting students. I mean, who doesn't know that NASA put the first man on the moon, has rovers on Mars, and that there's tons of science happening here on Earth. But I think above all this, students need to feel that they not only belong, but that they're also making valuable contributions to the projects that they're working on. And NASA mentors and leadership, in my experience anyway, are highly trained to provide students with opportunities for growth that'll positively impact other aspects of the students' lives, whether that be back in school or elsewhere in their lives.
Thank you, Bernice. Kaushik.
Hey. Yeah, so my belief is that there is no one size fits all. We get people from a diverse community, different students have different motivations. But one key thing that I feel is that they all understand that at NASA we're working on important problems. And they understand that, you know, the work will help change the future. Just today in the evening, I'll be talking to a junior high school student who wants to go into NASA. She's interested in space, physics, and I'm really excited about motivating her to, hey, you know, maybe in the future NASA is for you. You know, so we also hear from a lot of students, especially when I'm working with University Leadership Initiative, that when they're working on NASA-funded projects, you know, they're drawn to it because of the association with NASA, the name recognition. It looks well on their resume. They like that. So, and then in the same way, you know, for us, the students are great because, you know, a student from Texas A&M was working on computational fluid dynamics associated with supersonic flight, you know, and over time there's mutual interest and he was hired into NASA. So there are multiple different ways we get students coming into NASA. Thanks, Joy.
Thank you, Kaushik. And Dave, what are your thoughts?
I agree with the panelists. I think it's really important to demonstrate the link between the day-to-day work of the STEM engagement activity and the bigger mission, and how that connects back to their education and the classes they're currently taking. I think at NASA we do a pretty good job that in all of our STEM engagement activities, our internships, that we show how that's making an impact to our mission. We don't do copies and coffee for our interns, but instead also providing a hands-on experience so that you can see the difference between theory in something you may learn in school and how we apply it here at NASA. Thank you, Joy.
Great, thanks, Dave. What kind of skills are needed to work at NASA? And let's start with Kaushik on this one.
Thanks, Joy. Obviously, to get hired, you have to have some specific skills and you have to have good skills in that field. We get people in NASA from a variety of fields. You know, it's not just the technical. There are people who are in mission support, who do safety, who do cost analysis, you can just name it all. So you have to have some specific skills. But once you start working, you realize that, you're working in a project, you're working collaboratively, you're working in a team. Collaboration, teamwork, communication, these are really important. In fact, so important that my supervisor has that on my assessments scheme and checks me against that in addition to the technical performance. Beyond that, I think adaptability is important. You go through your career, you start in some project, you go to a next project, you go to a different mission. Each of them is unique, and you have to be able to adapt to these different conditions that you face. But the great thing in NASA is that you have the time to learn these new skills. You learn it on the job, and you cannot predict what you'll be doing 20 years from now. But as you progress, you have the time, and NASA is willing to help you acquire them. The good thing is it's easy to do that at NASA, and I've enjoyed that totally.
I totally agree with you, Kaushik. I think a lot of what we learn once we're in the agency is adaptability, that we're in a constant state of change, that we're evolving day to day as an organization, and that is so important to enhance your experience and career within NASA. Thank you. Dave.
I think our schools do a great job teaching the technical skills needed to learn to have at NASA. But I think something I really appreciate from my time as a student at NASA is how we develop the ability to think, to apply systems thinking, and to work with partial or incomplete information. Another thing that really has made a difference for me, both as a student and a career, is the ability to develop project formulation skills, to not sit back and wait to be assigned that next project or the project you really want to work on, but to go out there and figure out how we can see all of the resources, all the different groups that it would take to make the successful project, and how we can put that together to create something that doesn't exist today, whether that's a new project or a new technology. And of course, as Kaushik said, I think adopting the collaboration versus a competition mindset of it's not about getting a better grade or than someone else, but on the NASA team, it's how can you use the skills and the tools developed by someone else to advance what you're working on is what's really rewarded.
Great, thank you. And Bernice, your thoughts?
Thank you. So I think a lot of us as students think that you need to be like Einstein or like Tesla to end up at NASA. But I believe what you need to be a good candidate is you need a good attitude. And, like Kaushik mentioned, you need to work well with others. You need to have good communications because, in the end, you're not going to be the one person solving a problem. You're going to be working with a team over a long amount of time to solve a problem. You need the never-ending curiosity to want to learn more. And persistence. This is key, especially in my case, because I can't tell you how many times I got rejected by NASA before I actually got an internship. And I came to learn later, that it wasn't that I wasn't capable of doing an internship. It's just that it wasn't my time yet. So.
I also find that utilizing and leveraging your networks, be it while you're still a student, or when you're in a student program at NASA, or even when you're an employee, finding either technical subject matter experts or leaders to look for as role models in a way, not to mimic them exactly, but to pick the strengths or recognizing that you have areas that you may have to develop for yourself, either technically or with the interpersonal skills or with the team building skills, right? Once you're here, I think an important skill is to bring your whole self to your profession and be unique and highlight what you feel is unique within yourself to the team. So thank you all for your thoughts and perspectives on the skills. We'll talk a little bit about industry perspective. To discover and expand knowledge for the benefit of humanity is our NASA vision. The NASA workforce is comprised of people from diverse backgrounds, experiences, and disciplines, which create a unique culture within the agency. The multi-sector collaboration that exists within our agency is important in building communities of talented, qualified candidates. I'd like to ask the panel for their thoughts on the importance of diversity in cultivating NASA's workforce. And I'll start with Dave.
Thank you, Joy. This is such an area of such importance to all of NASA and especially in the Office of STEM Engagement. We absolutely need a workforce that represents our country. We need people to think about the aerospace industry from not just from non-traditional disciplines and majors to think about things like machine learning, artificial intelligence, how we can apply the advances in other areas to NASA's mission. And we need people from all types of institutions and regions of the country. This is something that we're working on very hard to advance. And if there is a silver lining to the pandemic, I think we've seen that NASA can reach out to people in ways that we didn't see before in terms of things like virtual internships, part-time internships for those who have a alternative path, education path, and maybe working or maybe at a community college, things like that. So I think the diverse background just provides such folks provides us the strength to have to not be fragile in our solutions for missions that we can it enhances our creativity and really gives us the best workforce possible.
Thanks, Dave. Bernice.
Thank you. Yeah, so at least in my experience, I mean, this could depend on where you go as far as like how industry is going about it. I've had a vast array, I would say, of good and bad experiences, but I'm still at the beginning of my career. I can safely say, though, that NASA is doing a lot to increase their diversity and has made the most effort that I've seen anywhere else to actively recruit members from diverse backgrounds. And personally, kind of like what Dave was saying, like I think it's really important to include like, very diverse a workforce. I would say like analogous to like a library. Right? Like if you went to a library and every single book there was about bicycle tires, you probably wouldn't, get much out of the library other than bicycle tires. But, when you go to a library, you want to see all kinds of different books, from, maybe even in different languages, just to be able to expand on like the library.
Thank you, Bernice. Kaushik.
Thanks, Joy. So, my project funds University Leadership Initiative, and since many of the aviation problems are no longer the simple ones, they're really complex. So you need people multidisciplinary. You want people coming in with different skills. So people are coming in with a variety of skills, just not just in the aeronautical areas, but even on the economic areas to decide which areas to focus on. So we get these very different skills, and these students are working with students from other disciplines and across universities. So they are learning these specific skills. And I'm hearing from industry partners of these universities that these are typically the skills that they want. So I heard from a Boeing manager saying, that's why I'm bringing some of these students as interns to my company. And so they give them internships. Similarly, we at NASA are bringing these students into our internship program. So we are giving them internship opportunities. And this is not just diversity from a perspective of demographics, it's diversity from skills. diversity from different backgrounds. They're coming from different universities, different areas, HBCUs, other minority serving institutions. So we get them from a variety of perspectives. And even within NASA, our management, gets people from other industries. We know of someone who recently came from Pratt & Whitney. So there is a way of getting diverse ideas there. We, our technical colleagues, come from academia, come from the industry. So when we put together projects, we get that diverse viewpoint all through the project. So, and that reflects well, and industry wants those same people back. They hire from us quite a bit, poach us, which is great, which is fine. I mean, after all, the human capital is really important to everyone, both to NASA and to industry.
Sure.
Thanks, Joy.
Yeah, thank you. And it's a great to be part of an agency that seeks a variety of people, disciplines, backgrounds, demographics, gender, right? And I think an important thing is once you get into the agency is how do you maintain a culture of inclusion, making sure that people from all of these different backgrounds are working well together, that they're feeling heard, that they are representing. And I feel that the agency places great importance on programs that support inclusion and try to include mostly everybody through our employee resource groups. We have diversity and inclusion councils across all the centers and in the agency. That I feel that type of culture continues to make people feel welcomed, and it's important for us to maintain a positive and healthy workplace for everyone. And I think that's one of the benefits of our agency and makes us one of the best agencies to work in the federal government. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to our conference IO questions. So let's go and look and see what is coming up from our audience. So the first question is, how do we get the word out to the non-traditional, underrepresented communities that NASA wants them to take up big challenges and join us in providing solutions? I wonder sometimes that these communities don't believe that we mean it, that we really want them to be part of our team. And I think this is a good question for Kaushik.
Thanks, Joy.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I mean, I'm not the expert on this area, but I've talked to multiple people because we have been trying to encourage the non-traditional underrepresented communities to come and work with us in aeronautics. And we know it's a challenge, and the challenge is there are multiple things. You have to interact with them with, trusted messengers so that they know that we mean what we say, so that they have to also see that we are doing what we are saying. They have to be able to see that we are giving opportunities to the HBCUs, to the minority serving institutions, so that they say that, okay, it's not for the others, it's also for us. We can be part of that. So part of it is, of course, getting the word out. Part of it is going to them through trusted messengers and then showing that we mean what we say.
Yes. Thank you, Kaushik. Dave.
Just emphasizing what Kaushik said, I think a lot of this comes down to relationship building in NASA's Office of STEM Engagement. Working, we reach out to Native American and tribal colleges, and the relationship building there, going to them not just to talk about NASA, to talk about our needs and how we want them to work with us, but their needs and how they want to how they would like to work with NASA, finding out through those relationships different platforms, different ways, like a virtual internship or a hybrid internship, where things like that. And then another one is, I think, is to bring back the NASA's mission to the community. So it may be taking a challenge, a K-12 challenge that we have for studying the Earth, and bringing it to a community to studying the quality of the air and the water in their community, or finding other ways that we can make NASA's work relevant to where they are and where they live and the priorities of their communities. But it's a very difficult task for sure, and I think there's just no one solution. So I think offering a variety of ways and levels to get engaged are really important.
Yeah, agree with that totally. And you know, I know that in my experience, we've done a lot of you know, inspirational activities with K through 12, right, at that age, to build their desire to move into STEM occupations. Again, what Kaushik and Dave had said, like having student programs focused on underrepresented communities or HBCUs or MSIs, right? We are affording priority and opportunities for students from those communities to engage in NASA and hopefully to become part of the future workforce. When we go for recruitment activities across the country and at universities, we definitely want to make sure that we create and establish relationships with those institutions in order to fill a pipeline of diverse candidates for the agency. The next question that we have here is, what are the skills to learn as a sophomore in aerospace engineering? Maybe I'll give that to Bernice, since you are our most recent Pathways conversion. Some tips.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I was actually hoping I was going to get to answer that one. So personally, like what I felt was really important, and you know, things you could end up putting on your resume too, is really the hands-on skills. Because as a sophomore, I can definitely say that I still was unsure, like where I wanted to take my my career. I mean, I knew I was aerospace engineering, but at least on my campus, the aerospace could either mean aeronautical or astronautical. And I actually went in astronautical thinking I wanted to work on rockets, and then found out I was way more into like fluid dynamics. But what helped me be able to, I guess, going into junior year, to be able to pick electives and, you know, other classes that were going to supplement the long-term career goals, it was definitely the hands-on skills that you could pick up. So, you know, that join a club, you know, commit to whatever time you can. I know that sometimes, especially like if you go into the quarter system, it's really hard to balance out, you know, clubs and your academics. So commit to whatever you can, you know, even if it's just like an hour a week, you know, learn something new, like learn to do like carbon fiber layups, you know, build a rocket. Help out in the labs too. I remember I helped out one summer setting up the like the lasers for the wind tunnel. Just, you know, if you really want to get out there, you know, talk to your professors, build really good networks and relationships with your professors, because they're the ones who are going to be able to, you know, lead you to the path that you want to take.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bernice.
Yeah.
Our next question. Do we give students the chance to pursue their passions and attack problems of their definition? Or do we just ask them to solve problems that we define? We need young minds that help us think outside of the box. And who would like to answer that? I'll give that option. Kaushik.
Okay, I'll take that. So that's a great question, you know. By the way, Bernice, really liked the way you talked about the aerospace engineering, what to do. You know, I totally resonate with it. It was, I think, I mean, I personally didn't do much of the things that you're talking about, but glad that you did it. It was great. So back to giving the students the chance to pursue their passions. You know, there are a lot of students who are so focused in just getting through school that it's very hard to actually say that you will get a lot of passion. But NASA does try to do that. For example, we have what we call a University Student Research Challenge. And, it's available to university students, and students come up with their own ideas, what they think that will be important for aviation that they want to work on. They propose the idea to us, to the NASA folks. We look at it and we choose some of the best ideas and fund them. And we give them, up to $80,000 of money, and they can do it. They come in with a mentor. We ask them to do a little more. We ask them to do $2,000 of crowdfunding. And that's really more as a teaching thing. It's not really the money. It's about learning how to be an entrepreneur. So we have these opportunities for students to pursue their ideas. So that some clever ideas have come out of it. Some professors, faculty even like it so much that they have taught it as, they have included it as part of their course. They're teaching the course. And they're saying, okay, we have groups of students who propose these ideas, and they choose some of the best ideas to come, and they give it to NASA for us to evaluate. And we have selected over 7, 8 last year, and this year we have selected about 4, and we hope to select even more as we go along. So this way, they're talking about different things. Someone might be talking about, the new UAV type of aviation. How do you make it fly beyond visual line of sight? You have redundancy. You can be talking about that. Or you can be talking about autonomy and how you get multiple UAVs to communicate, to do a work together. There are many different things that excite these students. And, and it doesn't have to be UAVs. It can be also in material science. There are people who are coming up with new additive manufacturing techniques, with new robots, trying to do things very quickly. So there are multiple different ways these students have these ideas. They propose to us in NASA, and we love them, and we want to encourage them to keep applying.
Thank you, Kaushik. I'm going to jump to a question because there's a question directed straight to Bernice. And since you're here on the panel, I think it would be great for you to respond. The question is, as you transitioned into your job at NASA, what was the biggest challenge of that transition? Technical preparation, cultural adjustments?
You know what? I think, I guess I wish I could ask for a little more clarification. Does that mean like from pathways to?
Let's say it as that, from student into a full-time employee professional.
Okay, I guess I wouldn't necessarily call it like a challenge, just because, and I think Joy, you mentioned this, NASA does a really good job at like preparing you for what's coming next, like you always know like way ahead, like what's coming. So I think I would say maybe more responsibility. Definitely, like as a student, you get a certain amount of leeway because you're a student, you're still learning how the ropes go. But so, for example, like as a student or even as like a co-op, you have to, give a presentation at the end of your internship to show the work that you've done. And so I think it was mostly in the presentation that you could see how, when you were a student, you could talk about how you spent your summer. For example, right? That's like one portion of the exit presentation. But when you become, full time, it's just it's strictly technical. So I think it was I wouldn't say challenging, but it's definitely what stood out the most is that you're molded into a more technical, but it's nothing to be afraid of. Like. You have so many people who are willing to help you along the way.
Wonderful. Take the leap. That's right. Thank you. We only have a few more minutes. So there is one question here that is asking for the panelists to provide some key things that inspired you in your career in aerospace. So I'd like for you all to address that, and then we'll close with the final question. So what were the key things that inspired you, Bernice, Dave, and Kaushik, to embark on a career in aerospace? And we'll start with Dave.
That's a fun question. I grew up in a very rural area. Growing up, I did not know any engineers. And back in my day, we didn't have Wikipedia, but we had encyclopedias. And one day I was flipping through the A's, and I saw an article on airplanes, and I saw from the slow general aviation up to the experimental rocket planes in NASA. And I felt like, and I saw that, and I was like, that's possible. That's what I want to work on. And then when I was in high school, it was actually my U.S. history teacher had me read the book The Right Stuff, which is about the history of test pilots. It wasn't even part of an assignment. He just thought that I would enjoy that. And I think it was then that I realized I really wanted to work on those vehicles that flew faster and higher. And so then I went to college, and my college had a cooperative education office, and I found an opportunity at NASA. So it was through the internships at NASA that I really felt home with what I wanted to be working on, and it made all the difference.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dave. Kaushik.
Yeah, tough question. So of course, I came from India as a graduate student and studied here. So I'm answering two questions at the same time. And, I was working in other industries. At some point, I really wanted to become an astronaut. So I applied for the astronaut position. Of course, I didn't get it. But then I said, okay, if I can't get to be an astronaut, maybe I can go work for NASA. So by that time, I had my citizenship. And so I was looking for jobs. And there was an air traffic management work at NASA Ames Research Center that came up, and I applied for it, and I've stayed at NASA since then.
Wonderful. Bernice.
You know what? I would say that I didn't. I don't come from a traditional path. I've met people from, who either share similar stories as me, or, they knew growing up, right? They went to air shows with their parents, and they'd known, from very young that they wanted to do that. I would say that my experience was more trial and error, because I found it challenging when I was younger to know what it was that I wanted to focus on, because I liked everything, if you took the time to get to know something, it was really, it was interesting, and I mean, really out of totally out there things. I thought psychology was cool. I thought oh, maybe I want to be a lawyer, but it was, I guess, a series of, trying to go down one path, and this didn't work out for one reason or another, and then trying something else, and then trying something else, and then something just all of a sudden, aerospace engineering. I don't think I had even heard of what an aerospace engineer was until I was 20.
Yeah.
And so I never heard of it, but I was intrigued. It sounded, the words themselves, they just sounded powerful, and I was curious. And I looked into it, and I realized, oh, wow, these people work at NASA. Oh, wow. I've always loved space when I was a kid, but, never thought that it was a career path for me. And it was just going down that path, and nothing had ever turned me away. So that's how I ended up here.
Awesome. Well, we are at time, so I would like to thank our panel so much for all of your insights and sharing your experiences with us. And to all of you in the audience being here today, thank you. I hope you've gained new perspectives on how NASA cultivates our workforce, and it helps guide your future plans. So now I'll hand it over to Dave.
Thank you, Joy. And we had that great question about students pursuing their passions and sharing their ideas. So this is a perfect segue here. Coming up next, we have a video of a 6th grade science class from Fairview Park, Ohio, and then the announcement of an exciting Dream With Us challenge for students, grades 6 and 12, to contribute their ideas about society, equity, sustainability, and even economics, and so we really hope that you dream with us in this new challenge. So up next, the video.